So you've just seen me make the enclosure and the mimic panel, and you saw me reverse engrave the face for it. What we need to do now is we need to make some LEDs to fit. So let's go and see how the LEDs are made. Now the RGB LEDs take quite a bit of effort to make, so I thought I'd share my pain with you, enjoyment with you as I make some. We have this little PCB here that mounts the LEDs. On one side we've got the connectors, and there'll be 64 sockets on there, and on the other side is the LED itself. So first of all, the initial complication is that we've got to solder things on both sides, and when we do the other side we've got to make sure nothing falls off. Here's my stencil. It's the wrong one, it's the opposite side. Now, another complication with this is because I'm putting the stencil on, when I've got components on the other side, I have to elevate it so they don't get knocked off. So I'll put this on, as I call, the top side, and we'll just line this up. Hope you're not too far away there. So I'm just going to adjust this to get the stencil perfectly lined up. With these, accuracy is everything. If I don't, well, the issues I've found are if I don't use absolutely fresh solder and a clean environment, I get a high failure rate of lights, and as you'll see later on, I have to test every one individually. The other thing with the LEDs is because of the nature of the beast, the effort involved, I have to be in the right frame of mind to make them, and that is one where I'm unhurried. Not trying to rush off and get too many things done at once, so I tend to make small batches of these so that the failure rate goes down. This is a solder paste, so it's the same stuff I solder with the reel and the soldering iron, but I paste it on like a thin putty. And if we take the PCB out, right, I'll try and show you what it looks like now. So this has a bit of solder on it. Hold on, let's focus everything. Camera like this. I'm working back to front. So the solder is on, and it's just on this side at the moment. These pots of solder are so expensive. These are like £90. And they don't last that long, so I have to look after them, or things get ridiculously expensive quick. I suppose it's the joy of manufacturing, or being a small manufacturer in the UK. Of course I could hand all my profit over to China, but I've had quotes for these and they're not inexpensive, so I'll just do it myself. It's a labour of love, and if I say it often enough, I'll probably start believing it. So that's all clean. So let's relocate to the pick and place machine, which, if I zoom out, is in the top of the frame. There it is. So I'm going to move us over to that, and we'll get another view and we can see this board being assembled. So I have the PCB here. Let's mount it. Make sure it's the right way, and I'll select on the PCB software, which you can't see. Okay, wish me luck. So we're getting a few mispicks there. It tries twice. If it doesn't get it, it'll stop and say, "What do I do?" To which I say, "Have another go." These are all the joys of the feeder. Right, let's have another go. I'll give it a hand. I've got a hand on one end of the tape. I'm just encouraging it to come along. Once it warms up, it'll get better. So let's get this on the bench and see what we've actually got. Hold down to camera angles. Let's have a look and see. I need to check every one because these are so labour intensive. I can't afford an error. I'm just checking every LED is actually the correct way round, correct orientation. And this is 32 LEDs on here. And they're all looking good. Yep, that's good. So now let's stick these in the oven and cook them off. So this is the insides of my vapor phase oven. I've got 4 small buttons underneath just to keep this piece suspended off the bottom, because the next time it goes in, and it'll go in again, it'll be upside down and I won't be wanting those LEDs to fall off. So I'll start the timer and it'll run a profile, and about 15 minutes later we can see how it looks. If you look to the left of the screen, you'll see the current temperature of the oven. It's going to go up to 230 degrees, and then you'll get this this fluid. It's called a galden, and it vaporizes at 230 degrees and it'll form a vapor cloud, and that's what will actually do the soldering. So it drives the oxygen out, which is probably a good selling point, and gets into all these components at a consistent temperature without burning anything. So you can see the temperature's rising. Now the oven's gone into an anti-tombstone phase, and what happens is it holds the temperature at that point for about 30 seconds. What it's trying to do is wet all of the solder evenly at the same time, so it's giving the each joint enough time to get to ambient temperature, which is about 150 degrees, and then it will continue to raise the temperature as soon as the fans go off. So the fan's off at the moment just to bring the temperature down. Fan goes off, it's gone down to 130, and now it's pouring heat back in, trying to boil the fluid and the base. The temperature probe's actually in the air at the same height as the PCB, so it doesn't matter what temperature the fluid is, it matters the temperature of the gas cloud that's going to surround the PCB. So there we are at 175 already, 180, 190 degrees. I don't know if you can see there's a slight vapor cloud forming in the oven. Once it gets to temperature, I'll zoom in and let you see if I can. 227 degrees, 228. So at 230, it'll hold it for 30 seconds. And that's necessary because there's lots of components on here, and I really need time to get everything up to temperature. Right, let's go right in. That's as close as I can zoom. The glass isn't that clean, but there's this slight cloud that you can observe. Depends on how you look at it. I can see a little white wispy thing. And it's currently boiling at 230. And that's how all the boards are made here. As soon as it's had 30 seconds, I think, did it 30 or did I extend it? I can't remember now. I might have extended it. There it goes. See the clouds now inside? Definitely there. Now the fans are on and it's doing a cooling cycle, and at 60 degrees they'll turn off and I can pull the board out. So I'll see you when this drops down to 60 degrees. So I've just pulled the LEDs out of the oven. They all look fine to me. They're all soldered, so we've got one side of the board soldered now. Let's get this in focus. Hold on, there we go. This is the board all soldered up. Now I'm going to do the back side. So just to recap, we now have components on this side, and I now need to apply solder paste to this, apply components, and somehow get this soldered in the oven without touching any of these, because obviously they'll melt. So this is the stencil for the LEDs, and this is the stencil for the connectors. This is a little stepped, let's see, check you're in focus. Yep. So this is a little step using 2 PCBs per side mount, if you will, or stencil holder. And that allows me to keep the keep this top flush. It needs to be for the stencil, but cover the LEDs without knocking them off. So let's get this lined up. The more time spent getting this accurate, the less of a failure rate I'll have, and when they fail, and you'll see testing, I'll have to test every one. Bit of a nightmare. Right, happy with that. A bit more solder paste. Oh, just a case in point, the solder I use on this and is lead free, and the solder I use on the reels, it's the same solder. It's a no clean solder, which means the flux is completely removed when I heat it, so I don't have to wash the PCBs. I pay more for it, but it's an expense worth spending. Let's get just what we need. This will go back in the fridge after. It has to be stored in the fridge or it goes off, and if it goes off, it costs a lot of money. Right. Nicely pasted. That's paste. Looking good. And hopefully, yes, that looks good. And this is with the solder paste applied on the rear now. The LEDs on this side. Wish me luck. No, nothing is skipped on this. You're getting to see it all, warts and all, and you can see just how labour intensive this is. It's quite a lot of work. If I don't get that clean now, then I'll suffer later on. Both sides. It's an IPA wipe, and get it off this card reader. Good, happy with that. So those can go in there. Not having that, is it? Let's see why. Of course it's out of alignment. Always is. Right, we should be good now, and go. I'll try and keep my head out of the way. So there's 64 sockets going on this now. I'm going to move the camera around a second and I'll show you the machine vision that's going on. Just at the point where it goes wrong. say continue. And this is the machine vision in this little box here. So it's lining up the lugs and then placing the part. Let's go back to the action. One more. So we'll go back to the bench now and we'll have a look at the overall job. So here's the board, all looks good except for the one missing socket. So let's get one of these and put it on by hand. There's a little cap on the top and that'll be removed after it's been soldered, and that's so the pick and place can place it, pick it up. Okay, that's on, that's all looking good. So now I'm going to very gingerly stick this in the oven. So we're now looking at the inside of the oven. I'm going to drop this on these 4 buttons, making sure that nothing touches any of the LEDs underneath so that they don't get pulled off. When we reheat this, that looks good. Great. So here's the board as it came out of the oven. I'm going to remove these connectors. Some are already falling off. These are the little covers. These are used so the pick and place machine has something to get hold of. Otherwise it would be trying to get hold of a gaping hole, which doesn't work. Bit of a pain, has to be done though. Now I've been through all kinds of pain making these because the connectors, I've had to do a lot of to and froing to get the process right. They look great until you come to test them and you realise they haven't adhered for some reason. So I think it might be because the board's been through the oven once when the LEDs were soldered, and it might have some residue on it. So I've resorted to cleaning the second side before I apply solder and increasing the dwell time in the oven when it's cooking. Right. These cleared up. Right, let me reposition the camera so you can see the testing. So this is the high-tech test rig, and it literally involves plugging cables in and verifying that every connector works. So I'm using an LED driver. The LEDs have a black bar on one side, and this is the input. The other socket doesn't have the black bar, and that's the output. So let's hook an input to this. It's a good start. Put the LED set to very dim so that it doesn't blow my eyes out every time. And I'll just keep plugging in cables, testing each one. So I'll go to the output, because now you're looking into the light, but we'll see what happens. So out socket, in socket, that's good. Out socket, in socket. Good. See how rich and varied my life is doing this. What a pleasurable experience it is. No sarcasm intended at all. Let's do the last one on the row, and then we'll see if we've got almost a full row, and there's 7 of them lit up, so that's not a bad start. So I'm almost coming to the end of this mess. I think for production, when I ramp up, I will take all of the LEDs out, split them and then test them. Might be faster. But I don't think I'll be able to fit it all in the camera frame, so I'll do this now. I hope you can feel my pain. This is so time consuming. So we have 64 connectors on the back, 32 LEDs on the front, and we have one that's failed. I'm just going to try and reconnect that and see if it wants to remain failed. Hold on, let's find a connector. Be careful because some of these are reversed. I was trying different things at the time before I established or decided on the wiring. So I go from there to there. Yeah, it's dead. Doesn't want to light up. Okay. It's marked and we know, so 31 out of 32. But we're not over yet, we've still got a lot more to do. So I'll just pull all of these cables out now. The trick is you can't apply any sideways force to the sockets. It's got to come straight out. But once it's in a panel, you'll never pull it again. Have I mentioned how time consuming these are? It just goes on and on and on. And each of these little mimic panels has over 40 LEDs on it. So what we'll do now is, once I've got these out, I will then break out all the LEDs into individual units, and once they're broken out we can then go about turning it from that into this, which is where all the value is added, because we can plug it into a round hole in a piece of MDF. And I am a couple of the diffusers and light blockers short. I'm just waiting on some more to be delivered, and then we'll cover that. But for now, let's get this broken up. So yes, you have to be quite careful. It's a little unforgiving. If you get it wrong, you make a mess. So very carefully snap it. These are V-score cuts, so I can break them up. And because they're so tight together, there's no other way to do this really. One, two, the third one, and the fourth one. the one failed. There it is. Take that off. There's the one I marked it with a little black mark. Bin that, then we can split these. Who'd have thought so much effort goes into making a panel? But then again, we are making the components as well ourselves, so it's not open box insert bits. Though the next part, when it comes to it, and I'll wait till I've got all of the diffusers, is probably the icing on the cake for me. It's the easiest part, how quickly it comes together. So when this is a finished product and you have a bag of these ready to go, you'll see just how quickly a panel does come together. But right now we're still getting RGB LEDs ready for the party. So there's 31 ready to go, and what I never showed you is I've got a load more to do as well. So I've just finished testing. Here's the pile, here's the last lot, and this is what it should be like. 32 lights all lighting up like a little wall. So great result there, and next I'll start to turn them into the little dimples with the diffusers and the light blockers. So I think I'm just going to need 10 of these to finish this panel off, 10 of these LEDs. So I'll just put the finishing touches to them. We want some diffusers. Of course there's 8 on that. Would be a perfect 10, would it? Right. 9 and 10. Right, so we're just going to attach this assembly to the LED. So I'll pre-insert these gizmos. Well, I think I've done this maybe 500 or 600 times so far, and we still haven't fully launched the RGB panel driver. So this is panel number 2 for making tracks. So I have 2 more to make, and I made a smaller test version for the NEC, which was testing the automatic exit of the fiddle yard feature. That was a success, so incremental improvements, and now we get on with this. I'd like to say we've got a really neat clip that secures it to the LED, but we haven't. Going old school. So we're going to attach the a little bit of glue. I'm using a really thick cyano here. Stick that on there, and we're done. Rinse and repeat 9 more times. It's looking good. So I think this concludes the panel preparation, and now we can move on to actually assembling the panel and seeing what it looks like for the first time.